Imagine being locked in a prison cell, not for 1 year, not for 5 years, but for 27 years. No freedom, no family life, no normal world outside those prison walls. And yet, when he finally walked out of prison, he didn't call for revenge. Instead, he called for peace. This is the incredible story of Nelson Mandela, the man who spent nearly 3 decades behind bars in South Africa. But why did the government imprison him for so long? What did he actually do? And how did prison transform him into one of the greatest leaders in modern history? During the mid-20th century, South Africa was controlled by a harsh system called apartheid. This system separated people based on race. White citizens controlled the government and most of the country's wealth. Black South Africans had very limited rights. They couldn't vote, couldn't live in many cities, and often couldn't work certain jobs. Millions of people were forced to live under strict racial laws. For many activists, this system was unacceptable, and one of the most determined voices against it was Nelson Mandela. In the 1940s, Mandela joined the political organization African National Congress, often called the ANC. The ANC was working to fight racial discrimination and demand equal rights. At first, the movement focused on peaceful protests. They organized strikes, demonstrations, and campaigns demanding justice. Mandela believed that change could come through peaceful resistance, but the government responded with force. Protesters were arrested, demonstrations were violently suppressed. Many activists began to feel peaceful protest alone would not be enough. One major turning point came after the tragic Sharpeville massacre in 1960. Police opened fire on peaceful protesters, killing dozens of people. The world was shocked. For Mandela and many others, this event proved that the government was willing to use deadly force to maintain apartheid. After this tragedy, Mandela helped create an underground resistance group called Untold. This group carried out acts of sabotage against government buildings and infrastructure. Their goal was not to harm civilians, but to pressure the government to end apartheid. However, these actions made Mandela a target for arrest. In 1962, Mandela was finally captured by South African authorities. He had been secretly traveling around the country organizing resistance. When police arrested him, he was charged with leaving the country illegally and encouraging strikes. But the government soon brought much more serious charges. Mandela and several other activists were accused of sabotage and plotting to overthrow the government. This led to one of the most famous trials in world history. The case became known as the Rivonia Trial. During the trial, prosecutors argued that Mandela and his allies were dangerous revolutionaries. They demanded the death penalty. But Mandela used the courtroom as a platform to explain why he fought against apartheid. In his final statement, he delivered a powerful speech that would echo around the world. He said, "I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination." And then he spoke the words that made history. "It is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." The courtroom fell silent. The judges could have sentenced him to death. Instead, they chose another punishment: life imprisonment. Mandela was sent to the notorious prison on Robben Island. The prison was located on a small island surrounded by cold ocean waters. Escape was nearly impossible. Prisoners lived in tiny cells. Mandela's cell was only a few meters wide. He slept on a thin mat on the floor. Every day, prisoners were forced to do hard labor in the limestone quarry. The bright white dust damaged their eyes and lungs. Communication with family members was extremely limited. Letters were censored and visits were rare. The prison was designed to break the spirit of political prisoners. But Mandela refused to be broken. Inside prison, Mandela slowly became a symbol of resistance. Other prisoners respected him for his calm leadership. He encouraged education and discussion among inmates. They even called the prison the University of Robben Island. Around the world, people began demanding Mandela's freedom. Activists, governments, and ordinary citizens organized campaigns calling for his release. Mandela had become more than a prisoner. He had become the global symbol of the struggle against apartheid. For 27 long years, Nelson Mandela remained behind bars. But the prison walls could not stop his influence. Instead of silencing him, imprisonment turned Mandela into one of the most powerful voices for justice in the world. Finally, in 1990, the government of South Africa made a historic decision. Mandela would be released. And the man who once faced life in prison would soon help lead his country toward freedom. But Mandela's greatest challenge was still ahead. Because the question now was, could a nation divided by decades of apartheid learn to live together in peace? That answer would change history forever.